Tonight I'm talking about our normative agenda, which means our agenda related to lawmaking and particularly the development of new treaties at WIPO in the field of copyright and related rights. As you mentioned, we've just got a new sort of term for our Director General, and so there's a new work program going into effect. With respect to copyright first, we would like to see the two newest treaties that have been adopted by the member states come into force. To do that, they need to be ratified by a certain number of member states. So we'll be working on ratification and implementation of the Beijing Treaty and the Marrakesh Treaty. Those benefit, respectively, performers and persons with visual impairments. Second, we will be working on the items on the Standing Committee on Copyright agenda. So those include the potential adoption of a treaty to benefit broadcasting organizations and update their copyright protections for the digital era, and also possibly some kind of instrument, not necessarily a binding instrument or a treaty, but some kind of work product on limitations and exceptions for libraries and archives, as well as educational and research institutions. Those are the main things we'll be working on in the next few years. Well, when the Internet treaties, as they're called, were adopted, the WIPO Copyright Treaty and the WIPO Performances and Phonograms Treaty, of course, even as that happened, certain provisions were becoming somewhat out of date because technology changes so rapidly and the Internet develops so quickly. So in some sense, you could say, yes, there are more updates that could be useful. On the other hand, it is difficult to see that there's a will among our member states just at the moment to re-examine and reopen those treaties or the subject matter. So I think our work will be more in terms of encouraging member states, perhaps at the national level, or perhaps regional groups of states, to think about these issues as they're updating their copyright laws. One of the things we do in the Copyright Law Division is provide legislative assistance to member states, advising them on how to update their copyright laws. So in that context, we certainly can try to take some of these questions into account. So we've certainly heard a lot of discussion about this. We haven't yet had any member state ask to put this particular question of the remuneration of authors for online uses of their works on the agenda of the Standing Committee on Copyright and Related Rights. And that's really the way that new treaties or new normative work is done. It needs to start with the request from the member states to consider this question. So certainly we've heard a lot of expressions of interest, of concern, and of hope that something could be done perhaps to standardize and also increase the protections in this area. But thus far, the member states haven't asked us to take it up as a formal agenda item.